Welcome to Mission Minute News. I'm Dominican Sister Jean Harris. Merry Christmas. We hope you have a wonderful and safe celebration of Christmas with your family and loved ones. First, the headlines. Pope Francis declares Year of St. Joseph. Catholic Polytechnic University. VaticanChina Agreement. SVD signs nuclear weapons ban. Launching the VivaDeus website. Pope Francis to visit Iraq. Pope Francis declares Year of St. Joseph. The year 2021 will be a special one for the Church. It will be dedicated to St. Joseph, commemorating the 150 years since he was named patron saint of the Universal Church in 1870 by Pope Pius IX. To guide the year, the Pope has published an apostolic letter entitled Patris Corde, with a Father's Heart. The letter offers a series of personal reflections on 7 exemplary characteristics of St. Joseph's life and fatherhood, based on the Bible and tradition. Love, tenderness, obedience and acceptance, courage, creativity, fidelity to responsibility, and quiet behind-the-scenes service. The Holy Father wrote Patris Corde against the background of the COVID-19 pandemic, which he says has helped us see more clearly the importance of ordinary people who, though far from the limelight, exercise patience and offer hope to others every day. In this, they resemble St. Joseph, the man who goes unnoticed, a daily, discreet, and hidden presence, who nevertheless played an incomparable role in the history of salvation. Through his faith, Joseph teaches that God can work even through our fears, our frailties, and our weaknesses, that amid the tempests of life, we must never be afraid to let the Lord steer our course. At times, we want to be in complete control, yet God always sees the bigger picture. Referring to the present time, the Pope says, "Today in our world where psychological, verbal, and physical violence towards women is so evident, Joseph appears as the figure of a respectful and sensitive man. Even though he does not understand the bigger picture, he makes a decision to protect Mary's good name, her dignity, and her life." Catholic Polytechnic University. Do you know anyone enrolled in Catholic Polytechnic University? Probably not, because the school was just inaugurated a month ago. Catholic and Polytechnic? For critics who define the Church as an archaic, unscientific, old-school institution, those two words, Catholic and Polytechnic, might be in conflict. But those who espouse that position would be very wrong. This university's primary mandate is to prove that modern science and faith do go hand in hand. Most U.S. Catholic universities and colleges focus on either liberal arts or business degrees. But what about the Catholic high school junior or senior who wants a STEM degree and career? That is, science, technology, engineering, or math. This growing vacuum has been on the minds of many Catholic educators, including Dr. Jennifer Nolan, a cognitive scientist and college instructor from the Los Angeles area, and co-founder and president of the newly formed Catholic Polytechnic University. Gradually, Dr. Nolan began to envision a STEM-focused 4-year Catholic college. CPU is now a 501c3 nonprofit institution beginning with several select online certification courses for adults, as it finalizes plans for an undergraduate campus in the Los Angeles area. It will not be a strictly religious Bible college nor seminary, but its mission is clearly spiritually based, with many on-campus Catholic services, in the hope of being included in the Newman Guide's recommended colleges list. According to President Nolan, CPU will be a Polytechnic university with an emphasis not only on academic strength, but also on potential earning and job placement. And STEM courses provided will reflect a direct relationship between science and faith. By providing Catholic STEM degrees, Dr. Nolan hopes to help rebuild Catholic Church life from the inside out. Graduates will enter careers in demand, gain high incomes, and become strong business people whose families are financially secure and perhaps sizable. Onward, Catholic Polytechnic. VaticanChina Agreement. An initial provisional agreement between the Vatican and China just expired on October 22, 2020. That same day, the Vatican announced that the two sides have agreed to extend the experimental implementation phase of the agreement for another 2 years, through October 2022. For many years, China's Catholics have been split between an underground church loyal to the Pope and the state-supervised Catholic Patriotic Association, CPA. The Chinese government suppressed Christians and followers of other faiths by closing churches, removing crosses and other religious symbols, etc. President Xi Jinping introduced a program to sinicize all religious practice, insisting that it must be Chinese in orientation. He added that the Chinese government must provide active guidance to religions so that they can adapt themselves to socialist society. Catholics are supposed to worship only in churches approved by the Chinese government's Catholic Patriotic Association. However, many still attend unregistered churches under the authority of bishops who are not recognized by Chinese authorities. 2 years ago, on September 22, 2018, the Vatican and China signed an agreement regarding the appointment of Roman Catholic bishops, a breakthrough on an issue that for decades had fueled tensions and hoped to repair diplomatic relations between the Holy See and Beijing. The provisional agreement, which was signed in Beijing by deputy foreign ministers from both sides, was described by the Vatican as the fruit of a gradual and reciprocal rapprochement following a long process of careful negotiation and subject to periodic review. Part of the deal was that the Pope would recognize 7 Chinese bishops who had been excommunicated as illegitimate because they had been appointed by Beijing without Vatican approval. The Associated Press reports that Vatican spokesman Greg Burke, speaking in Vilnius, Lithuania in 2018, told reporters that the aim of the accord is not political but pastoral, allowing the faithful to have bishops who are in communion with Rome, but at the same time recognized by Chinese authorities. Reuters sources say the deal also gave the Vatican a say in the naming of bishops and granted the Pope veto power over candidates. In Beijing, the Foreign Ministry put out a statement saying, China and the Vatican will continue to maintain communications and push forward the process of improving relations between the two sides. The deal, however, has divided Catholics across China. some of whom fear greater suppression should the Vatican cede more control to Beijing. Others want to see rapprochement and avoid a potential schism. For some, the deal was a sellout to the communist government. Cardinal Joseph Zen said a rapprochement would be betraying Jesus Christ and a surrender. Also, that they're sending the flock into the mouths of the wolves. It's an incredible betrayal, adding that the consequences will be tragic and long-lasting, not only for the Church in China, but for the whole Church, because it damages credibility. Earlier, Cardinal Zen, who is from Hong Kong, which is a Chinese territory, had journeyed to Rome in the hope of persuading Pope Francis to appoint a new bishop for Hong Kong, who can be trusted by the people and not mired in political considerations to appease Beijing. He tried in vain to meet with the Pope, but he said, "I have no complaints. I know the Pope must be very busy. I am satisfied knowing that my letter may reach him," but said, "What's most important is we do not lose sight of our original intention." As the agreement is extended, it is hoped that the Vatican, the Chinese government, and most especially the Catholic flock of Christ find a good solution and peace amid this quagmire. SVD signs nuclear weapons ban. The Divine Word Missionaries Australia province recently joined the anti-nuclear fight by signing with ICANW, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. The bold move came as the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons reached the 50-state requirement for entry into force, following ratifications by Jamaica and Nauru, and 1 day later by Honduras. The treaty will enter into force 90 days after the October 24th signing, cementing a categorical ban on nuclear weapons 75 years after their first use. Prior to the treaty's adoption, nuclear weapons were the only weapons of mass destruction not banned under international law, despite their catastrophic humanitarian consequences. Australian provincial Father Israeli Ras, SVD, says it was important for the SVD to take a stand, along with other faith organizations, against the use of nuclear weapons. We don't have to think too hard to understand the seriousness of nuclear war if it ever takes place, he said. We need to be learning from the past, from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where nuclear bombs were dropped at the end of World War II, and resolving to do better in the future, he added. ICAN's executive director, Beatrice Finn, welcomed the historic moment of treaty ratification, and Catholic Religious Australia and more than 50 other faith groups, including religious congregations, signed an open letter in solidarity with ICAN, urging the government to act. Australia is yet to sign the treaty. Launching the VivaDeus website. On December 8th, the founding date for both the Missionary Sisters Servants of the Holy Spirit in 1889 and the Sisters Servants of the Holy Spirit of Perpetual Adoration in 1896, a new website, vivadeus.org, was launched by the 3 Arnaldus family branches, the SVD included. In English and Spanish, the site shares the wisdom of St. Arnold Jansen and the founding generation of all 3 orders, and serves as a platform for sharing their Trinitarian spirituality, charism, history, ongoing spiritual formation, and latest news. It also provides a means for members and mission partners to show how this spirituality and charism is currently experienced and promoted. Our common heritage gives meaning to our lives and impels us to live our missionary vocation with vigor and commitment. We desire that others benefit from this gift, especially our mission partners, bringing about transformation and renewal, said the Superiors General with one voice. We invite you to explore the VivaDeus.org website and encourage you to inform others who could benefit from it. A subscription form at the site invites you to receive periodic updates and additional materials. Pope Francis to visit Iraq. Pope Francis is set to break a 15-month hiatus from international travel with what is sure to be an historic visit to the Middle Eastern nation of Iraq. The director of the Holy See Press Office, Matteo Bruni, announced the news, adding that the Pope had accepted the invitation of the Republic of Iraq and the local Catholic Church. The Pope will make an apostolic journey to Iraq on March 5th through 8th, 2021, visiting 4 Iraqi provinces: Baghdad, the plain of Ur linked to Abraham's call, the city of Erbil, and Mosul and Karakash in the plain of Nineveh. The Pope's exact itinerary will be released at a later date and will take into consideration the evolution of the worldwide health emergency. Pope Francis has long expressed his desire to visit Iraq as early as June 2019 at a meeting of Catholic aid agencies. I think constantly of Iraq, where I want to go next year, in the hope that it can face the future through the peaceful and shared pursuit of the common good on the part of all elements of society, including the religious, and not fall back into hostilities sparked by the simmering conflicts of the regional powers, he said. SSPS and the SSPS-AP celebrate 131 years. On December 8, Feast of the Immaculate Conception, the Arnaldus family sisters, Holy Spirit missionary sisters and Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, celebrated their 131st anniversary of founding. Founder Arnold Jansen understood the significance of that feast and chose it to officially establish the 2 communities of sisters. Sister Mary John, SSPS from Rome, writes, 2 events mark this day, one for the Universal Church and another for the congregation. On the eve of the Immaculate Conception, Saturday, December 7th, 1889, just as dusk was approaching, 6 maids, including Helena Stollenberg and Hendrina Stenmans, made their way to the altar in a non-ceremonious procession led by Father Arnold. They entered 2 by 2 into the vacant Capuchin convent just across the road past the mission house in style and sang the Te Deum. The next day, December 8, marked the beginning of the Holy Spirit Sisters, and Father Arnold placed the nascent congregation under the maternal protection of the Immaculate Virgin. Now, 131 years later, the tiny seed has sprouted and spread its branches all over the world, being blessed, guided, and accompanied and made fruitful by God. Congratulations, sisters, and may you continue to respond to your missionary call, following the Blessed Mother's example. I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let your will be done in my life. Tolkien's House. It was recently reported that the former house of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, who died in 1973, is on the market for over €4.5 million or $6 million US. The 4,000 square foot, 6-bedroom house was built in 1924 and is located at Northmoor Road in Oxford, England, where Tolkien lived from 1930 to 1947, while a fellow at Pembroke College and later Merton. Here he wrote the famous The Hobbits, published in 1937, and parts of The Lord of the Rings trilogy, published in 1954 to 1955. Between 2001 and 2003, the latter was made into trilogy movies and 3 Hobbit films between 2012 and 2014. All 6 movies were box office top grossers. According to Michael Ward, a British scholar and author, Tolkien built the vast mythology for his mythical world while teaching Oxford students the languages and literature he loved. Dialect coach Leith McPherson said, Tolkien invented his own languages, from the beautiful language of the elves to the terrible black speech of Sauron, switching between Elvish and the dark tongue of Mordor. Currently, actors from the films have backed a campaign founded by British novelist Julia Golding called Project Northmoor to raise funds to purchase the house and turn it into an educational center. A video to entice Tolkien fans to support the project was released December 2nd. If the project raises enough money, the home will be renovated and the garden restored. This will include a hobbit house in the garden and a pipe smoking area around Tolkien's tree. The Tolkien House would also involve creative courses and special events. Malcolm Geet, poet and scholar, said it would be a literary hub that will inspire new generations of writers, artists, and filmmakers, and that Tolkien's world has been an inspiration for many artists, writers, filmmakers, but so far there has been no specific place dedicated to the appreciation of Tolkien's life. Vietnam, one in mission, one in love. In October 2020, central Vietnam was affected by many big storms that caused serious damage to human life and property, particularly in the provinces of Tua Tien Huay, Ha Tien, Quang Binh, Quang Tri, and Quang Noi. Responding to the needs of their brothers and sisters in the flooded areas, the SSPS in Vietnam collaborated in the Help for Flood Victims project initiated by the Buddhist neighbor of their pre-novitiate community, and Miss Nguyen Thuyen. Miss Thuyen contacted people to donate goods and clothes from her hometown in the western province of Vietnam. Hundreds of sacks of clothes, rice, and boxes of instant noodles were transported from the western province to Saigon. With the help of local volunteers, Catholic and Buddhist alike, as well as some other orders, more than 300 sacks of clothes, tons of rice, and other goods were quickly delivered to the flood victims in central Vietnam. We are very grateful and happy to work with the sisters from many other congregations, our neighbors, and many volunteers from many different places and religions. We were of different cultures, religions, and nationalities, but we became lovingly united in the common mission and in our oneness and loving efforts. We felt the presence of God, said the SSPS sister. Our prayer is, may all the flood victims overcome their difficulties, recover soon from the disaster that had caused them suffering, and enjoy a stable life again. Good news for mission. 5 months ago, you will recall that on July 11, the San Gabriel Mission suffered a terrible fire which destroyed its roof and inflicted great damage to its interior. The good news this month, according to an article by Andrew Kampa in the December 2nd issue of the LA Times, is that a temporary protective roof has been constructed with funding from both the LA Archdiocese and the Mission Parish community. One sizable contribution came from a GoFundMe page posted by a former parishioner and choir director, Remy Tron, now living in Texas. Obviously, it will take a lot more funding and work for a complete restoration of the roof, benches, and other interior pieces. Nevertheless, the parish hopes to reach that goal in time for the mission's 250th anniversary on September 8, 2021. Regional investigators from the Verdugo Arson Task Force, assisted by the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, continue their work into the cause of the blaze. Bethlehem Star. Today, December 21st, 2020, in our winter solstice, watch for a reappearance of the Star of Bethlehem, announced CBN News on December 4th. Allow me to break down that announcement. The two largest planets in our solar system, Jupiter and Saturn, will align tonight, and to our eyes looking at the southwestern sky will recreate what is sometimes referred to as the Christmas star, or the Star of Bethlehem. Actually, of course, planets are not stars, but only reflect the sun's light. However, their alignment tonight will appear to us as one bright, non-twinkling heavenly body, a phenomenon not seen since the 1600s, and probably only a couple of times before that. When one planet passes another, and as seen from Earth they line up, that would have been greatly significant to astrologers. Enter the Magi, or wise men, who were most likely court advisors to Babylon, and who as astrologers used the stars to give guidance to the ruler. The ancient Jewish writer Philo says they were what we might call proto-scientists. Star of Bethlehem expert Rick Larson used some computerized astronomical tools to track the convergence of several heavenly signs back to when they would have occurred. His research discovered that you get a clear message that a grand king had been born in Israel right around what would have been in our calendar December 25th, 2 BC. So when the Magi went to the capital city of Jerusalem looking for this infant king, the Jews sent them to Bethlehem, a place from which the Jewish scriptures prophesied that a king would come. And the rest is history. The Star of Wonder was Christ's first preaching to unbelievers. Don't forget to look at the sky tonight. We want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. May you be blessed abundantly now and in the coming year. We hope and pray that 2021 will be different and much better for all of us. If you have a comment or question, please email us at missionminutenews@wordnet.tv. You can also post your comments below each video on YouTube. We promise to respond. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Share with others about the channel and the variety of programs you enjoy here. That's all for this edition of Mission Minute News. Until we meet again, stay safe, and may Jesus' love for you make you smile.